So get some yellow and get some black, and I'll meet you back here and we can do the face. Okay, so let's get started on the eyes. Eyes are so fast and easy peasy, it's ridiculous. So you're going to start with a magic ring. You're going to put 6 single crochets into it. You're going to pull and go into your first stitch, and you're going to slip stitch pull your middle and then fasten off. So fasten off of the sewing tail. So that's it. It's that's your eye. Easy peasy. So I got plenty of room for a bow either side. I'm going to put it on this side because my ear is a little off. It should be up higher. So I'm going to put a bow here to kind of hide that. So I am about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 between the 7th and 8th row. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the middle. So 5 in between, which is 5 is normal, I think. For the amount of dolls that I do, 5 is normal, so I think that is a good place to start. So I'm going to take my yellow. I'm going to take quite a piece of yellow. In one end of it, I'm going to tie a knot or a double knot, depending on what kind of yarn you're using, but leave some at the end. The other end gets threaded. Hello Kitty has an oval nose. It's not the easiest to do, and it's pretty close to the eyes, so that's why I'm literally only started like that's the bottom of this eye. I'm literally only one line down. So this is the bottom. I'm going to come into here. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go. That's my first stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5th hole. These eyes are 5 apart. So I'm going to come across. Now keep in mind, I can't sew. So I'm going to come across. I'm going to go back down that hole, and I'm going to just repeat the same thing I just did. So I'm going to do that. And then I am just going to repeat the same thing over and over again, but I'm going to, each time I'm going to come down a little bit. And I'm not really pulling tight. So each time, every other time, I'm going to come down and through into a different spot. First I had a bit of a triangle nose on it, like a cat, and then I just really didn't like that. So I changed it. But it's totally up to you. You can do whatever you your little heart desires as far as that goes. It's your Hello Kitty. I only make suggestions. So you're going to do this multiple times, back and forth. So once you get what you want, as far as nose goes, you can just take your hook, needle, and pull through to the other side. As far as this guy goes, he's going to get pushed down. Make sure my knot is tight. I'm going to snip off a little bit of that, and then I'm just going to push him down into the doll's filling like we do with the other stuff. And then this gets treated just like anything else. You can tie a knot. Doesn't need to be a tight knot. Cut some off. Poke it down. Now you're going to have to move your stuffing all around after this, and pull out your divots a little bit. I got some divots where I was pulled too tight, but you can just stick your hook in there and pop them out. Move your stuffing around, make your head look normal again after doing all this stuff. So get your black, and these whiskers personally was the hardest part of the doll. So get a long piece of black so you don't have to keep cutting pieces and then hiding it. We're just going to do this all in one thing. So you can tie a double knot or a regular knot, whatever, just one knot, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. So these whiskers are very difficult in my opinion. They may not be for others, but I had to do it like 5 times. They come off the side of the face so far. And then I couldn't get it lined up evenly. It was very difficult. So I may or may not do all of this on camera with you because it is so difficult to do this and show you on camera. So you got a bit of ear in the way. However, go in anywhere. It doesn't matter where you go in. It just matters where you pop out. So you're going to pop out right by the eye. When you come across, you're going to come across, go down into, I'm kind of coming, actually I'll go a little closer to the ear, kind of coming across, but then when I come back up, I'm going to go up where I want my other whisker to be. And then pull all my crab with me too. So again, I'm going to come across where I want this whisker to be, which is probably, I don't know, right about there. And then I'm going to come up where I want my other whisker to start, which is probably there. Same thing, I'm just kind of feeling it out. I'm going to go in where I think the whisker should be coming down. But this time, I'm going to go all the way across. And I'm going to pop out up here near the eye, which is somewhat where I started here. So now before you pull tight, squish your head back down into place. So I've got those 3. Yours may or may not turn out better than mine. So I think I'm coming out about the same spot as I did here, I just gotta make sure I'm coming across here at the same. Which I think I went almost behind the ear. So, oops. Well, I think I'm down a bit. Right about there. I think that's what I did, so I'm gonna come where I think the whisker should come down, and then it come back up where I think the other whisker should start. So I don't want to pull tight. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna come down where I think the other whisker should come down, which is about there. And I'm gonna come back up, trying to match the other side, which was my problem before. Well, I think I'm not doing too bad this time around. I hope I'm on camera. So again, I'm just going to pull this down so I can kind of see where I want my whiskers to come down. Then I'm going to go into the doll. And then it doesn't matter where you pop out at this point. You can pop out anywhere because we're done. Squish your head back down into place. So that's about my whiskers. Yours are going to be different. I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to push the knot down as close as I can to the doll. I'm not tightening the knot because I don't want the knot to be super small. I'm going to cut off, but I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail. And then just jam that guy right down into the face, and you won't see anything. And then this guy, he's gonna get jammed down in there, right into the stuffing. And there we go. I might have to pull my mouth out a bit here. There. Whiskers went a lot easier than they did last time. So, moving on. Get your pink, and we're going to do a bow, or whichever color you want to use for your bow. We're nearly done this doll. We have a bow, and we have our arms to do, and then we're done. So, just like that. You are going to chain 13. Starting in the first stitch you can get into, you're going to single crochet back up for 12. And the reason I say 12 is because the 13th one was already on my hook. So you're going to have 12 stitches that working stitches. So now that I'm back up to the top, you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to single crochet 12, and you're going to do this for 6 rows. So you should have 7 rows altogether when you're done. So I've got my 7 rows altogether. You should have these at separate ends, so this should be at this end and this should be at this end to finish, because it's an odd number. If it's at the same end, you only have 6 rows altogether. So you with 7 being an odd number, you have, this has to be here and this has to be here, just to make sure you got the right amount. Now if you may be doing yours differently, you may be doing yours not so big. This is just the way I did it, so it doesn't really matter. So now we're going to single crochet around the entire project just to kind of give it a better look once it's all completely finished. So chain 1 here, and then you're just going to start single crocheting. You have no stitches down the side here, but you're just going to stick them in. Generally, the beginning of every row, you're going to be able to get your hook in there, but wherever you can just jam your hook in, just jam your hook in. You're just making stitches, basically. So once you get back around to where you figure you started, it doesn't have to be accurate. You can just do a slip stitch, and we can fasten off. Make sure you fasten off with a sewing tail. So we're going to set this aside for now, and then I'm going to show you, because I'm going to do something weird with it. Just because I can. So let's make our middle piece. So you're going to make a slip knot. Chain 4. You're going to single crochet back 3, and then you're going to repeat this for 10 rows. Alright, so I got my 10 rows. It's an even number. I've got this and this on the same end. I could crochet around this, but I actually want the raw edge for my bow. I just wanted the bow to have a clean edge. So fasten off, and again, with just a little bit of a sewing tail. And because we're not single crocheting around it, you're going to have to weave this in to kind of get it out of the way. So I like to just go down and do all the stitches this way. It's not as noticeable. Just remember to pull it all back out before you snip it off. Alright, so you're going to find your end on your bow part. I want you to weave this down so it's halfway. Again, it's not going to be noticeable. And you don't really have to weave in and out. Just stick it down till it's halfway. So you can count your stitches, or you can just eyeball it. Either way, it doesn't matter. So I might have to come in one more. So I think that's about halfway. So what you're going to do is you're going to come across here, and we can go out the back. So you want to just pull all of this down. So you're going to pull it together nice and tight. So you're going to have to adjust these, and you can do that after. So once you've got that pulled tight, you come back around and do the same thing just to secure it. Oops. Come back up wherever. So once that's semi secured, and again, just make sure it's in the middle. So I can still move this over a tad. And it pulls so tight. A little bit. Once you have it situated and turned and twisted and however you want it, you're going to take this guy, thread your needle, so you can wrap this right around and then sew it at the back. Sew it however you want, just make sure it's at the back. Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be tight. It just needs to be on there. So we've already pulled our bow tight. So this doesn't really have to be tight, this needs to be on. And it needs to be on in such a way that it's not gonna come undone. Well, I mean, you're sewing it to something, so. So if you wanted to make it smaller so that you could pull it tighter, then you can go right ahead. I just give it a snug pull at the end, and then I'm ready to sew it to my doll. I'm just going to go a couple more times around because I've got extra yarn. Tie a little knot. And now I'm being a little too extra precautious, but I would rather be extra precautious. Figure out where you want it. You can put it on either ear, doesn't really matter. I think she's known for it being on this one. So that's your little bow. So now it looks like Hello Kitty. I know it's taken a while for it to look like Hello Kitty, but now it looks like Hello Kitty. So, arms are next. Okay guys, last but not least, let me just clean up a little bit here. Last but not least, get your white. We're gonna do some arms, and then we are finished. So you're gonna make a magic ring. We're going to put 6 single crochets inside that magic ring. So you can pull your guys shut here. So you can put 2 single crochets in each stitch around. You're going to get a stitch marker. Or you can just count to 12. So 2 single crochets in each stitch around for a total of 12. That's 12. So you're going to do 1 single crochet and an increase for your next round. So we'll put our stitch marker in if I can pick it up. Piece of hair. Alright, that's my 1 single crochet. So your next stitch is going to get the increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same space. So you're going to do that all the way around, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. And at the end you should have a total of 18 stitches. So you just add 6 to everything because we started with a magic ring of 6. So every round is going to be increased by 6. That's how you know what your numbers are supposed to be. So you're going to do 6 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 18 stitches. And I will meet you back here after you're done. So I got my 6 rows done. So now I'm going to do a 2 single crochet decrease. I'm going to do that 4 times. So there's number 1. 2 single crochet decrease. So that's 1. 1 and 2 single crochets and then a decrease. That's 2 times. 2 single crochets and a decrease. That's 3 times. 2 single crochets and a decrease is 4 times. And then just single crochets in these last 2. So we're down to 14 stitches from 18 stitches. So you can do 8 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 14 stitches. And you can stuff it and fasten off. And I will meet you back here after you've done all that, made your second arm. So the pattern will be up to make your second arm. And I will meet you back and we'll get sewing and we'll get this doll finished. So I've done my 8 rows. So this is what it should look like. Be bigger down here when you stuff it than up here. So mine's stuffed and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to fasten off. So I'm going to keep enough to sew with. So you got to sew the top shut and then you got to sew the arm to the doll. So you can just fold it closed and whip stitch it shut, or whatever stitches you want to do. It doesn't matter what kind of stitches you use or how you do it, just sew the top shut. Alrighty, so I've got both my arms done. So it's just a matter of figuring out where you want it. So I'm going to do invisible stitches. Which is always really hard to show you. So I'm going to come in as close as I can to, this is the neck, this is the arm. I come in as close as I can. So if you can get a needle that's got a bent tip like that does, and then I'm going to go up into the arm, and I'm going to keep doing that all the way across. I'm going to come in as close as I can, and I'm going to go up into the arm. I'm going to do that all the way across. That way it sucks in my stitches to underneath the arm. You have to pull snug every once in a while, but I know it's hard to see. But I don't want to not add this to my tutorial. I do not sew well, so I always like to add that. So once you come across the arm, we're not doing the underside of the arm because it'll make the arm stick up like that. So just doing the top. So once you come to the end and you're satisfied with how your arm is sewn on, you can go back down through the arm. Hold on, I think I need one more stitch. I don't feel like that's... Actually, I'm just going to go back down this way. I'm going to go back down. I'm going to pop it out into the white. I'm going to pull tight. I'm squeezing this. Just keeps it cleaner looking. So that's my one arm. And you can't see the stitches at all. So go ahead and sew your second arm on. I'm going to sew my second arm on after I weave this guy in. So I'm going to weave this in, back, forth, make a knot, cut it off like we've been doing. I'll sew my second arm on and I'll meet you back here for the finale. So let's get this tail made. So you can put 8 single crochets inside this magic ring. Pull your tail. So because I want it a little bit pointy, we're just going to do 2 rows of single crochets. So just count to 16. Don't need a stitch marker. So this is my 16. Pull your tail and you can tie a knot. 2 hands might be helpful. You don't have to make it a tight knot, but we'll just cut a little bit off there. So now you can turn it right side in. Sorry, my battery died, had to change it. Anyway, I haven't done anything. I was in the middle of talking actually. So the next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. So that's 1 single crochet. And your increase of 2 single crochets in the next stitch. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. You should, by the end of this, have 9 stitches. And you should also be ending your stitch marker at 2 single crochets if you did everything right. The next 2 rounds can be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So each stitch is 12. Or there's 12, each stitch is 12. There's 12 stitches around. So you don't need a stitch marker, you can just count to 24. That's my 24. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. So there's number 1. The next stitch makes 2. And then your increase stitch. So 2 single crochets in that stitch. So do this all the way around and at the end you should have 15 stitches. So one single crochet in each stitch around is your final row. We're not stuffing this. So we're just going to do one single crochet in the 15 stitches that we have here, and then we're going to fasten off. And you can sew it on any way that you want, whether you want to keep it open or sew it shut. It's all up to you. I'm going to keep mine open. So that's it for the tail. And go into your next stitch, slip stitch, fasten off with the sewing tail. So you can also go into the next stitch, pull this through to the other side. Oh god, now that song's gonna be stuck in my head. So I just sewed this on open. I'm going to sew it on the dress. So you can sew it on like this, or you can sew it on like this. I think that looks stupid, so I'm going to sew mine on like this, the best that I can. I mean, as far as the majority of this goes, you're not going to get into the doll. Over here you're going to get into the doll, but for the most part you're sewing it to basically the skirt. So my suggestion to you is to go down into the doll to leg it. So once you found out where you want it, I would go down into the doll to hold it there. And then you kind of just got to hold it open. I'll see if I can do this backwards for the camera. So I'm still in the doll part, so I'm going to use as much of the doll as I can before I get to the dress. And then here, the easy peasy part is just going in and out. So what I generally do for something like this is long stitches in the back, short stitches in the front. Short stitches in the front look like just a regular stitch. So nobody will really be able to tell what you did. Now they're going to be able to flip up the dress and be able to see, obviously, the white. But it's really not going to be that humongously noticeable. So you can put stuffing in there if you want, because it will start to kind of collapse a little bit. But for the most part, I mean, I didn't bother, because for the most part it's just going to be bent out of shape and collapsed anyway, because it really isn't kind of in a stupid spot. So I'm back into the doll. Well, kind of, sort of. I can go back out the dress one more time, because I'm kind of right there, but I'm not. So I'm going to come up in this next stitch, and then I'm going to go down into the doll and come up into that stitch. And then pull snug. And then I'm almost just about right around to where I was. So one more stitch for the tail. And then I'm going to go down into the doll. And I'm going to pop out on a white spot, which is going to be the leg. So I don't want to pop out on a pink spot. So give a nice little snug pull And if you choose to put stuff in your tail, then that's perfectly fine. So I'm just going to weave a little bit here. Not much, just a little bit. And then I'm going to do my regular tie a knot, cut it off, stick it in. There we go, the little tail at the back. You can put it up higher if you want. It's all up to you. But that's where it sits on the cartoon character, the anime character. So, yeah. So, thanks for joining me, guys. And here's the finished product. The first one obviously turned out better than my second one. But that's because the second one I didn't put as much stuffing in. So it looks smaller. But all in all, there you have it. Thanks for joining me, guys. And I'll see you in the next video.